Owning shares of a company that pays you money for doing nothing sounds pretty nice. And many financial YouTubers have caught on to this fact and created a bunch of content for viewers wanting to feast their minds on dividend knowledge. The thing is, all else equal, dividends are actually bad. The first thing to understand is that the day a company goes ex-dividend, the value of the stock decreases exactly in proportion to the size of the dividend paid. Just because you're a special dividend-paying company doesn't mean you get to bypass the economic law of no free lunch. You have cash as a business, and when you pay that cash out to the shareholders in the form of a dividend, the company just became less valuable. It owns less stuff. And as a result, the stock price will go down. Now, you might get a green day on the day of the ex-dividend, but it would have been more of a green day had that dividend not been declared by the company. This concept brings me back to Accounting 201, which I took in college. In that class, I was introduced to retained earnings, and it's when the income statement meets the balance sheet. On the balance sheet, you're going to see retained earnings, which is net income, which is brought over from the income statement minus dividends paid, and this is the amount of money the company keeps, hence retained earnings. The company can then use this money to reinvest in itself to make it more profitable or generate more revenue. This little bit of accounting knowledge is helpful because it communicates important information. By the company saying, I want to give you this dividend, what they're really telling you is, hey, if we keep this money, we're not going to generate enough value to justify holding on to it. There's literally nothing more productive that we can do to grow this business if we were to keep this money. So instead, we're going to give it back to you, the shareholders. Just because a company doesn't have a new productive place to reinvest those retained earnings doesn't mean that their decision to pay it back in the form of a dividend is a bad thing, right? Well, not so fast. By paying you that dividend, you might think that you'd be able to just reinvest that money back into the same company in the form of a DRIP or a dividend reinvestment plan, or just use that money to reinvest into another company. But this doesn't fix this one key factor, which is that you are now faced with a taxable event. You must pay capital gains taxes on the money that you received as a dividend. All else equal, and again, this next topic is a little bit nuanced, but all else equal, if that same company were to buy back its shares instead of paying a dividend, you'd still see that increased shareholder value. You're reducing the shares outstanding, which provides value to shareholders and increases the stock's share price, except doing it this way does not force you to pay taxes. It is not a taxable event for the investor when the company that they own buys back shares. The only real benefit to a dividend is in your head. Again, the share price would be higher if the company kept that money instead of paying it out to investors. And by paying it out, the company's also communicating that, hey, there's no longer enough productive things to research and develop to increase our revenues and profits, that we're just going to pay out our current profits to you, the shareholder. And by paying this dividend, you are now forced to pay taxes on this money that you've harvested from the company. And while this might sound like a good thing to be able to get money into your account without actually having to sell shares, but this kind of thinking demonstrates a level of ignorance to what dividends are actually doing. If you've made it this far in the video, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like the video, comment down below, and consider subscribing. Until that next one, peace.